Okay, so good evening. How are you this evening?
Oh man, it's another day. I'm here. I'm making it. Life is life, and it'll be what it be though.
Hey, as long as you're here, as long as you're alive, you got another chance to keep at it. So, are you ready to start the show?
Sure thing.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to One Man and One Woman, the podcast. I am one of your co hosts, Tara Michelle.
And I am J. Flan, just here so I won't get fined.
Tonight's conversation is about, oh, that's the name of let me not do that. That's the name of a whole nother motherfucking podcast. Um, Today's show is all about the whole phase. This seems to be a very popular subject. It feels like women are somehow empowered by this, the freedom to do anyone, anywhere, anytime, and as many people at a time as they want. I'm not sure if this is some kind of rebellion because men have been able to get away with it for so long, but to me, it seems to be a little out of control. So I will start with the first question for you, and that is, have you ever had a whole phase?
Let me first start by saying apologies in advance to Sean and Granny. I'm gonna say some shit tonight. I just need to get that out the way. Have I had a whole phase? Like the whole phase, or calling somebody a whole whatever is. I feel like it's subjective. I think if I say there was a period in my life where I probably wasn't faithful and may have, dabbled in multiple relationships at a time, absolutely. But if I was to give my numbers and name those scenarios, most people would look at me like, nigga, you ain't do nothing. My bad. I see already.
We're grown. It's fine. And
All
you
right,
gave
that
the public announcement, so it's fine. So the answer to the question is yes, you had a whole phase. Got it. The next question: what is your definition of a whole phase?
I don't know. It. I don't. I just when you feel like sexual promiscuity is like you have license to do it, and it's what you're supposed to do, and so you go out and I guess I don't know what abandon any sense of morality or abandon any sense of I don't know self-preservation, if you ask me. But you just go out there and you just seeking pleasure indiscriminately with whoever, whenever.
And what's wrong with having a whole phase?
It's consequences to this game we play. Like none of this stuff, nothing you do is like there's no free passes in this world. And for me, especially when I look at our community, too many of us are living, walking around with the scars of somebody else's mistakes or our own mistakes, and a lot of them related to our ideas or our treatment of sex. Like the single parenthood, the not having access to your kids if you were dad, or fighting with baby mothers and baby fathers, the not to mention disease, or the fact that we now look at each other in this sort of oppositional stance of it's us versus you, because we both looking at each other as what we can get from one another. And if all I want is that, and all I'm after is that, and I go get that, and then I don't care what happens to you, I can understand why you look at me as the opposition. But I think if you're in that whole phase and you are out for self and you out for you just trying to get what you're trying to get, you're gonna make a lot of, you're gonna make some enemies, you're gonna make some mistakes, and you're gonna affect some lives, including your own. And I think most of us are walking around with those scars. We either grew up in a household where a parent wasn't around, or we're dealing with issues with having to figure out how to raise our children in these situations, or maybe you're dealing with illness, or maybe a lot of things. But most of us are living with these scars, and we keep trying to act like it's cool and nothing happens. Like, yeah, just go out there and do it. Now you need to sow your royal oats or whatever. And now you got, we got friends with 9 kids. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if he could go back and make some different decisions if he would. And should we be explaining that to people that's walking into the situation? That, yeah, I did have a whole phase and it ain't work out very well for me. So I would suggest maybe you try a different approach.
Definitely. Definitely. When you and I had a conversation and we broached this subject, we talked about how this mentality is being just thrown about. Like, this is what's being pushed onto the kids younger and younger. I remember when we were younger, cigarette companies and, alcohol companies, even now, when they come out with things that look too much like candy, they get in trouble because it's like you're targeting a younger
Yeah.
audience, you're targeting children. But no one seems to be at all concerned with the fact that, kids have access to all of this because of the internet. Yeah, a lot of times you do your parental locks, but if your kids ever leave your house throughout the day, if they go to school, they go to a friend's house, it's just so, even with the parental locks, it's just so easy for them to have access to the music, to the movies. There are condom commercials that come on at 6 p.m. And I remember growing up, that never would have happened. I know that for me,
Yeah.
in my life, like, to answer the first question, have you ever had a whole face? Absolutely, positively not. Absolutely not. And I know that a lot of people who like to get on their podcasts and in different platforms and say everybody's had a whole face. That is how delusional people are. And that is how commonplace this has been made to seem. That there are people out here who actually think there's no one in the world with more morality, with morals, with self-respect and self-worth. Baby, I'm here to tell you, no, ma'am. No, sir. Not everyone has had a whole phase, nor does everyone think that that mess is okay. It's really, for me, I just think it's like, why? Why would you want to be ran through? Like, why is your body not sacred in some shape, form, or fashion? I'm not saying you have to marry one person and stay with them forever. That should be the goal, I think. But things don't always work out that way. But we too loose these days. And my definition of a whole phase is dropping your morality, falling under the guise and the BS of, well, men do it, so I can do it too. It's my body. The body count doesn't work. It just doesn't matter. Just falling flat and giving up self-control, giving up your virtue, giving up your self-worth, and trying to be a dude. I know I hate to say that because there are going to be some men out there who say, wait. No, I'm not like that either. But I truly think that they are aspiring to be like men because it's always been okay for men to behave this way. And we're so rebellious now. You got the feminist movement, you got the slut walk, the crazy this third. And so everybody wants to truly be like, well, we're equal. If a dude can just be nasty and do all of this, then so can we. Yeah, you can, but why would you want to? Is my question. You Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And now I feel like if you don't do it, there's pressure. People want to judge you and tell you you're the problem because you believe in staying a virgin till you get married, or you believe in dating and getting to know a person and being in a relationship before you sleep with them. Something's wrong with you because you want to play it safe and be wholesome.
But has it always been? I think we say that like it's always been okay for men to do it. Okay, maybe in the sense that they don't get the same judgment, but still not consequence free. Like it's not working out for dudes either. Like it hasn't been a great experience for men either. Between like I said, losing control of your kids, baby mama drama, being identified as community dick or a dirty dick nigga because you out here, in everything. Like it don't necessarily like this idea that men get away with it. No, we don't. We suffer with the consequences too. Maybe not as dire and clear cut as women because you usually get stuck with the children by yourself. But if you're a man that values his kids, you either got to cut off the part of you that cares about your progeny, and that's a different. You've got to mentally condition yourself to do that, and that's not an easy thing to do. So I think the men that you see out here walking around like they don't care about these kids, like they had to do something to themselves to get to that point. And I really in my heart of hearts believe there are nights that they cry themselves to sleep because of that. Because they know. I think when I finally had like the come to Jesus with my dad, he cried in front of me. He said one of the worst mistakes he ever made was not being a part of my life. I would have never got that impression from the 16 years he wasn't there. But, maybe he was going through something that I didn't know about. So while I may be thinking he got away with it, he didn't. He dealt with that. So I think the idea that men get away with it too, yeah, maybe we don't get judged the same, but it's not,
Yeah.
we don't get out
And that's
scot-free.
exactly what I mean. For society, it's way more acceptable. If a dude comes in and says he has 100 bodies, there are still going to be women clamoring to get to him under the impression that, oh, he is skilled. If he had a chance to get with 100 women, that he knows exactly what he's doing, which is not always accurate. But if a woman walks, you know what, here's the thing. It used to be if a woman walked into a room and said she had 100 bodies, I would say if there were 10 men in that room back in the day, 8 of them would be like, no, I'm good. Now it might not be so much that way. You got a whole bunch of just like really ignorant men out here, who might actually still wipe somebody up with that type of reputation. Maybe the whole freaking thing is changing. And that might just be because so many women are hoeing nowadays that there are a lot of men out here who think that's all there is to choose from. I don't know. I think it's a tragic mess. I think it's sad. I don't think either side should be hoeing. And that was your answer actually led to my next question, because I was going to ask you, who do you think the whole phase harms more? Since you touched on it, I will say for me, I absolutely still think it harms women more. I think there are still a lot of a lot of high profile men, who won't wife you. They might make you a baby mama, or they might, run through and let the homies run through, and you might get a purse or something out of it. But there's still a lot of men that don't want to walk with a woman on their arm seriously. And, 27 dudes that they know have also been up in that. It's not cute for the long run, and I also think that a lot of times women get left with the kids, like you said. I think, a lot of times women are more in danger of catching something because there are a lot of dudes out here nowadays that are asymptomatic. And so it's just there's just so many different reasons, why I just think it's way more detrimental for women. Um, Earlier when we talked about this, just to recap the fact that we were going to have this conversation, you talked about shame and the fact that you think that people are trying to remove shame for the equation, from the equation. Talk about that.
Yeah, because I think I sent you something where someone had posted like, leave a comment about the moment you realized, you were in your whole phase. And one, the fact that you can make a post like that and receive tons of comments is one thing. I think two, the fact that that's entertainment for us these days is to listen to these stories about, what I would consider deplorable behavior. But then one of them was, I think what the woman said, that she had just slept with her main. She told him, or she had just slept with her main, was still in the bed with him, got a text from the side saying he was outside. So she told the main she was going to take a shower, went in the bathroom, turned the water on, locked the door. I guess she got another way out the bathroom. Hope she ain't climb out the window for dick, but women these days, you never know. Went outside, had a quickie with the side piece in the car, and then came back, turned off the water, and the main dude never knew. And so, one, when I talk about the shame thing, do I think that's a brand new thing that no woman ever in history has ever done that before? Hell no. Yes, people have been doing crazy stuff since the beginning of time. I don't think we were this brazen and open and almost saying it with pride. Like, we're saying these things as if it's cool and I should be proud to admit this. Like, this used to be something you didn't want anybody to know about you. Now you like, yeah, this is who I am. I get invited to the cool table. And then even the more destructive thing to me was that after these two dudes that was doing this, after these two dudes read the comment and they were talking about it, the one dude said, this makes it feel like there's this, he said, I think his exact words was, this decentivizes you to be the main. It feels like to be the main means you get all of the responsibility with none of the perks. I'm the one you living with. I may be paying the rent, or I may be participating with you on a daily basis, dealing with your emotions, having conversations with you, having the fights and arguments, cooking, raising kids together. I'm doing all of that. And I get, and in return, what I get for that is a woman who pretends to be in the shower while she's, fucking some dude in his car. And the dude in the car, he just got, some quick ass with no respect. He ain't had to do nothing for it. He ain't take her to dinner. He ain't had to put the kids to bed first. He ain't had to wash the dishes, so she was happy with him, take out the trash, had no conversation with her. He ain't had to ask her about her day, nothing. So to a dude, it's looking like it doesn't make sense to be the main dude. And it becomes this self-perpetuating cycle. And I will wholeheartedly admit, and Tim, please tell the people that when we had this conversation, I admitted to you that men started it. We did it
You
first.
did.
But, like I don't think you ever want to become what you despise. What we were doing was wrong. And you don't like compensate for that by being just as bad as we were. And now the idea that that's the way women are is convincing men that probably might not have gone down that route. There ain't no point in me being a good dude. I might as well just, go for self. And then the more men do that, the more
Yeah.
women see that and think I need it, and we just create
Yep.
each
And
other.
it's a vicious cycle.
Somebody's got to break it at this point.
Yep. It's a vicious cycle that just goes on and on. Hurt people. And women, I think that it did start with men. I think women got tired. The feminist movement comes about. It's whatever they can do, we can do. Everybody's the same. Everybody's equal. I think in terms of human rights, yes, we're all equal, but men and women are not the same and they will never be the same. I don't care about everybody trying to come together and make everything unisex. And there are too many of us who still believe in traditional gender roles and just traditions in general. I think we're getting real wild and crazy. And in this day and age, anybody could say anything and make anything up. And everybody's, you know, the movement is to force everybody to believe whatever lunacy or, heathenism
Yeah.
you believe in. No, I stand firmly in the fact that when I talk to my daughters, I explain the importance of their bodies. I explain the importance of, see, when I think about sex, I think about, and this is not make it okay, but I absolutely know there's a double standard for men, and I'm okay with that because I don't think that women should ever aspire to be as nasty as men. I think that we should be better than that. We are supposed to be better than that. And when you think of it in terms of like a car in a garage, so this car can just go into this garage and come back out and go to the car wash and then go to the next garage. And, they're just there dipping it in and moving back out. But when you are the garage, and you got car after car after car after car just coming in and out, different car every single time. Yeah, that's super nasty. You are the one that's being impaled, or you're the one that's being, just entered. It should matter to you that you've had 100 or 200 or 300 people inside of you. I know a lot of people don't believe in pair bonding. I do. When you sleep with a person, I think you give a part of yourself to them, a piece of yourself to them. You never get that back. And I think that's how you end up with girls who are just so wild and so loose and so heathenistic and so nasty and so confused that they don't want to admit to anybody that they're really soft and pink and they're really looking for love. And a lot of times they've lost all their self-worth and don't think they deserve that love. So they keep behaving like this and try to make it seem like it's normal. And when they have friends who don't do it, they try to make them feel bad so they can come do it too. Because misery loves company. People hate to see you do better than them. So they love to pull you down to their level. And that's what's most sick and twisted about it. But I honestly think that we got here because women were fed up with getting hurt, cheated on, men having families 2 blocks over. And it just became a point to where they were like, F it. If he's doing it, I'm doing it too. Doesn't make it right. I can understand getting fed up and just deciding you just gonna go and do what you do. But where I draw the line is when you know you dead wrong when you've cried yourself to sleep many a nights, when you've been hurt, when you lost all your trust and you've been broken, and you would raise daughters to act the same way. And you would tell your friends and your siblings or your little sisters the same thing. Instead of you being honest about what you've been through, how you've been hurt, and what a bad idea all of this stuff was, you want to bring people down with you. I think we have to do better. It is not okay for men or women to behave this way. I don't see how the world is going to get better. I don't see how STD rates are going to go down. I don't see how marriages are going to happen. I don't see how divorces are going to cease. I feel like if all we're doing is sleeping with anything we see and everything that we see, that the idea or the practice of getting to know people and forming bonds and getting married and raising families will cease to exist slowly but surely.
I want to say this because, and I want to say first, I'm not rebutting anything that you said. This is not like a commentary on what you said. I've heard the analogy of like the garage and the car, and I think there's a meme out there with somebody with the cup and water. It's like 100 hands can touch the cup, and you would still drink the water. But if 100 fingers was in the water, you would it's no good anymore. I get all that, and I just think those analogies ain't quite accurate. If you want to ask me how I look at it, go to Thanksgiving dinner and watch somebody dip the spoon in the greens and then dip that same spoon in the mac and cheese or the yams and see if you don't lose your shit. See if you don't. You can't just be dipping the same thing all over again and think that it's like it's not this like it's not okay. It's not.
I've never been
we,
bothered
we,
by
we
that.
can't keep making it
That's
seem like,
never bothered me.
oh, that bothered. Well, it's a lot of people that bother that's
You just
bothered
got to
by
shake
that,
it
and
off.
I swear to God, you do it around me, shake it off. I don't care if you wipe it off, wash it off.
So you think do you
I
think
need
so
another
your
spoon.
analogy is more so that men being promiscuous is worse. I couldn't disagree more.
Is that I'm not doing? Yeah, I'm not gonna do a worse. I don't like to do the what's worse or who's more detrimental. I'll talk about what the detrimental effects are to men, and whether or not people feel like they're equivalent or not is up to you. But bad is bad, and I don't think worse. If this is worse and this is not as bad, then that makes this okay. Bad is bad. And we go through stuff. We go through stuff. This sexual promiscuity has not worked out for anybody. And if you want to talk about the effects on men, we can't just look at adult men. Boys grow up in these households. Little boys have to grow up with these moms that have been mistreated by men. And and not all women, handle that very well. So those little boys get scarred. Like we're all getting messed up in this. Nobody's coming out clean. And if one person is dirtier than the other, that's that's up to a personal opinion. But everybody's messed up. Everybody's scarred. And until we got like you said, it has to change because we're all scarred. We're all messed up. We're all dealing
I
with
agree
this.
100%.
It's not working out for
And just to
anybody.
add to what you said, which is brilliant by the way, you're on point tonight as usual. Um Little girls are scarred by this too, because like I had this conversation with my daughter, my 11-year-old Olivia. And she was talking about having a friend whose mom had her, because this little girl is 11, like my daughter. Her mom had her at 15. And the mom's mom had her at like 14. And then the grandma's mom had her at like 13. And then before that, the other one it was at 15 too. So we got 15, 13, 15, and like 14. And for 4 generations nobody's learning anything. And I can say, okay, maybe, depending on, how long ago that was, we little girls were sold to older men, sick, twisted, perverted men, and forced to start bearing children at very young ages. But at what point do we not say, okay, let's break this cycle? You know how hard it was to be a teen mom, maybe not being able to finish high school, having to struggle and work a bunch of jobs. You still working fast food in your 30s, when you had dreams of being a lawyer or a doctor or a scientist. And that's not to crap on fast food jobs, because let me tell you something. Those lines stay packed. So those people are needed. They matter. They should be paid a wage that they can live at and all that good stuff. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to do more and be better, had you not had that kid, you may have had a better chance. And for those who still make it while having that kid, you cannot deny that it was way harder than it might have been if you had not had that child until after graduating college and getting into your career and getting married and all that good stuff. But we're not teaching that to these little girls. You actually have women out here telling their daughters to go secure the bag. You look at situations like R. Kelly, where those parents knew where they were sending their daughters to. And if money was involved and they were getting paid, they did not care about prostituting out their daughters. But you have women who are teaching their daughters to go out and behave this way, to get money, to get recognition, and they want their pound of flesh too. You think she finna come in the house with a Birkin and ain't got one for her? Or the people who aspire to be on welfare. Oh my goodness, I could do a whole show on this by itself. To sit up here and decide that for your life, you want other people who actually work hard for a living to take care of you is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard of in my life. And I've heard women tell their daughters, go ahead and get pregnant by so and so, because then you'll be able to get on Section 8 and you got $8 a month or $8 rent every month. And comedians joke about that. Like this is stuff that people are really doing. Your lifetime career goal is to be a welfare chick, to proudly be on food stamps that you're going to sell to people, to move your dope boyfriend into the house, to not raise your kids, pay attention to your kids, go to school to better yourself and set an example for them, but instead to be a bum. So, like you said, everybody's being affected. The girls aren't being taught. A lot of the little boys aren't being loved or respected or treated right because she's too mad at his dad. My mother was one of those people. And nobody's winning in this situation at all. Nobody is
Right.
surviving or thriving because of the whole phase.
And I think for me, as a man, and I've been saying this for a while, we've got to change the narrative about how we speak to boys about this situation. I think we got to change the narrative for women too. We need to bring back some of the stuff, but we've definitely got to change the narrative for boys. I think for years it's been like, for whatever reason, like women were the gatekeepers to sex, and for some reason, because you guys were the gatekeepers, and you were the ones, that had the thing that we wanted, we put all the responsibility on women for being the good decision makers in terms of sex and who they sleep with, who they procreate with. And it's an equal exchange. Like it's not. I can remember being a kid, and it felt like to get sex took skill. So it was my job to try to convince you to give it to me. And if you was dumb enough to fall for whatever it is, I threw out there and gave it to me, then okay, it was your bad. You messed up by sleeping with me, not me for going out here and pursuing sex with somebody that I knew I didn't care with. Not me for entering into a situation that could produce a child with someone I know I don't want to raise a child with. So I think we really got to start talking to men differently about what it is you're risking when you lay down with a woman that you don't care about, don't know, whatever. Like you're risking another life, and that other life having to deal with the consequences of either you not being around or a strained relationship between you and this person. You're risking your health. And you are just, you're becoming intimate with somebody. And that's one of the things that I've heard a lot recently, that men lack intimacy. And I think it's because we're not taught to seek intimacy. We're not taught that that's what we need, and we should go find a companion, and we should go find a person to be with us and to be our peace and to be our sounding board and to be our companion and to be our support. We're not taught we're supposed to go seek intimacy. We're taught we're supposed to go seek sex. And it's almost as if we equate the two with one another, and they're not the same thing. And you're seeing so many men out here in this world that are making the decisions they're making and moving the way that they're moving and acting the way that they're acting because they lack intimacy. They're angry. They're upset. They're hurt. They don't know how to handle emotions because they're not aware of what they are. They don't know that right now I'm embarrassed. I'm not mad, so I don't have to go hit this person or shoot this person. They just know I feel something I don't understand and I don't know how to express it. So here it comes. Like pause. But I'm saying we got to change the narrative of how we speak to boys and men about sex. We've put so much of the impetus on women, and it's like your job to make sure you have a kid with the right person. It's our job too. And as a man who's co-parenting, as a man who has a baby mother or ex-wife, it ain't. This is not ideal. This is not what I would have envisioned for myself. This is not what I wanted for myself. But here I am. And I would, and if I was speaking to another young man, I would tell him, you don't want this. Try to make better decisions. And I don't think I married the woman that I had a kid with. I probably may have married her for the wrong reasons. But you can do everything right and things still go wrong. But if you're doing wrong, I don't know how you expect things to go right. So I think, as much as we talk to women about that, and we need to get back to that. I think we've gone away from the idea of talking to little girls about being selective about who they sleep with. But we definitely need to start the conversation with men about holding that as a responsibility, that you have a responsibility to be selective with who you give yourself to, who you expose yourself to, who you enter certain situations with. I think we have to do that.
I agree 100%. I will leave my final thought at this. Do not be the type of person who goes through hell, lots of turmoil, lots of troubles, lots of trauma, and turn around and raise your kids to do the same thing. Be honest with yourself. Humble yourself. I'm with my 23-year-old and with my 20-year-old, and with my 11 and 10-year-old as well, not to the same degree as my two older ones. I am constantly honest with them. It is very intentional. I do not want to see them make the same mistakes that I did. I truly believe that every generation is supposed to be better than the last. As we procreate, we are
Facts.
supposed to lead and guide them. And if it was something that we were missing, we feel like we were reared incorrectly, don't make those same mistakes. Learn from your past and teach your kids to do better. Not every child listens, and children are still going to make their own mistakes, but the goal is to impart the information. And if your child, moves away from the way that you raised them and does their own thing, then those consequences are on them. But be honest. To everyone who's listening right now, be honest. Are you giving that type of advice? Are you being open and honest and transparent? Or are you enabling? Or are you creating monsters to send out here to affect other people's good sons and to affect other people's good daughters because you are miserable and toxic? Let's break all of the generational curses and the vicious cycles. And even more importantly, if you cannot financially take care of a kid, don't have. If you are not in a happy relationship that's thriving, do not have children. Try to learn how to take care of yourself and love yourself before you create another life that you have to love and take care of until they can do it themselves. Let's just stop the dysfunction. I just don't understand why we thrive in dysfunction. We, speaking to the Black community, are our own worst enemy with the same stupidity that we do. For any of you girls out here that saw what Cardi B said when Offset was cheating on her, and she came out and she said she was going to stay with him because any other man would cheat too, that all men cheat. So she'd rather stay with the dog that she's with than to go find another dude who's only going to cheat on her too. Don't believe the hype. You deserve better. You do not have to stay with a man who cheats on you or who beats you or who goes out here and has babies on you. I'm gonna take your words, Jedi Flan here. These men exist because there are women who let them behave this way. And this goes for both sides. People will do only what you allow them to do to you. So if all the women in the world right now started breaking up with a dude every single time he cheated, and there were no women that would accept him and take him and allow that behavior, guess what men would stop doing? Cheating. Same thing with women. We
Big
have
facts.
got to stop this mess. It is disgraceful, despicable, and it is so non-productive. There's no, again, even when you look at these people like Drea, Michelle, and all these other video vixens who go out here and get the bag, meaning have a baby and get checked for it, they are still alone. A lot of them are never going to be married, and if they are, it's miserable marriages. And is that the life you want for a purse? Is that the life that you want for a pair of shoes? Are you kidding me?
And I'll say I'm gonna channel my mom real quick. I'm gonna bring out my inner Janice Flanagan. But she used to say this to me all the time growing up. She used to say, the second most important decision you'll ever make behind the God that you serve is going to be the person that you have kids with. A lot of behavior is hereditary. A lot of things is genetic. So you need to be very selective in that act. And anytime you lay down with a person, pregnancy can occur. There are plenty of people who use condoms with kids. There are people who've had their tubes cut, tied, and burnt and got pregnant. So if you lay down with a person, you need to be thinking, how would I feel if I ended up having to raise a child with this person? And if that is something you cannot stomach or can't fathom, then you don't need to do it. And that goes for men and women.
Absolutely.
But I'm talking to the dudes because I'm one of them.
I think I wouldn't mind for us to do a series um called Our Own Worst Enemies and just tackle various things that we do, from how we raise little boys, how we raise little girls, the decision to have children out of wedlock, the decision to aspire to be on welfare. And I do know, and I just have to say this because I know that's going to be triggering for some people. I am not talking about people who found themselves in a situation beyond their control. I am specifically talking about people whose moms, their moms, their moms, their moms, their moms have all been on welfare, and this is what they teach their kids, and it's just habitual. Do better. Like this is too much for me. But there are a lot of things. Like I said, we're very destructive. Right now, I feel like we're going through this rebellious phase where it doesn't even make any sense. We name our kids all the most ridiculous, stupid, made up names just because we want to say, I don't want nobody telling me what I can name my kid, and I don't want to do the white man's name. Baby, you could go find some Hindu, Sanskrit, African, or anything other, that has a meaning to it other than Ashinkashay and Lampu Quisha Keisha Ashe Ladasha with a dash. Like you have to think about
Hey,
what you're doing to your children and why
hey,
they won't get any callbacks from their resumes because you a whole fool. Like I just can't. I'm sorry. I can't. There are so
sit.
many things that bother me that we
Yeah.
do that set us back, and our response to it is, I don't care. I'm gonna do what I want. Well, you're hurting your kid, not you, because your name is Erica or your name is, Monica, but you got your kid out here, Jamontriel Daryl Rayon or whatever yeah, it's too much. And Key and Peele do an excellent job with their NFL skit. That is for real what these names be. And I can't. So I would love to do a series and break it down because we can do better and should do better. And this rebellious mentality, like you have the right to just be absolutely stupid just because it's too much. Oh, I'm gonna be in trouble with this episode. Hey.
Oh yeah, you can send all your hate mail about that name stuff to Tim. I ain't say Ned that you ain't hear none of that from me. None of it. I'm gonna say this last thing on the whole phase thing, and then I'm good for the afternoon. I just want to say, ladies, because I hear this a lot. Women are always asking, well, what are we supposed to do when everybody expects you to forgive these fouls? You go out and cheat on you, and y'all expect us to forgive you and expect us to love you. The only person that expects you to forgive a person that mistreats you is a person that mistreats you. Regular people, regular dudes ain't out here like, nah, I forget that nigga. No, that's the only person that expects you to forgive a person that mistreats you and take them back and love them anyway is that person. Everybody else is cool with you walking away. So you good. Let's not, I just want to end that for now and forever.
Okay, so that's the end of this episode. My goal was not to offend anybody, but a hit dog will holler. And I just want the best for us and our children. So, everything I say comes from a good place. But again, these are just my thoughts and my perception. You don't have to agree with me. Anyway, just remember throughout the week to be good to yourself. Always be kind to others. I hope you guys come back next week. And until then, holla.
Holla.